Hello and welcome to this edition of Safety First. I'm your host, Frank Poulin. Today we're going to be talking with the Suffolk Police Department and the Suffolk Fire Department about holiday safety, both in and around the home. Right now we're joined by Officer Surratt and Officers Sukowoski. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me.
Yes, sir.
Now, of course, during the holidays, it's that time of year when thieves seem to come out a little bit more to, I guess, poach unsuspecting shoppers, correct?
Right.
And so how can a shopper, I guess, what tips generally do they need to know, and what can they do to protect themselves?
Okay. Well, first, I'll start first.
Go ahead.
One thing they want to keep in mind is when they go shopping, it'd be a good thing to maybe plan with a friend or a family member to go with them. That way, they're not buying more than what they can carry. Also, keep in mind to try to park if they're going out at night in a well-lit area in the parking lot. Obviously, they want to have their wallets, try to keep it deep in their coat pockets or in their front pockets, something like that. Not usually where they keep it, to their turd, pickpocketers, stuff like that.
I would suggest keeping your money separate from your wallet. Same thing with credit cards. Ideally, you would want to you don't want to carry cash because you're going with all your cash to buy holiday gifts. Someone steals your cash, then you're out. Where if they take your credit card, you can call and cancel it right away and dispute a charge if there is a fraudulent charge. Also, when you're going, try to ideally go during the daytime. Less of a target during the daytime. And while going to and from the business, just be alert. Thieves target people who look unsuspecting. So someone who's aware of their surroundings is less likely to be targeted.
So someone kind of aloof, just staring off, whereas
playing
someone
with
walking
their phone
confidently or something like that.
Yeah.
That's more the attitude you want when you're in these situations.
You don't want to be walking around playing with your phone that you're not aware of what's going on around you, and then someone comes up on you and you don't know where they came from.
Now, and I guess that's very important, especially when, even if you're shopping with a group, because most people go out and they shop for a while and they do like one big rush and they have all these packages. Would you suggest walking through the mall with all the packages, or breaking it up, returning to the car, or how would you guys suggest that works?
If you are returning to your car, you're going to want to lock things in the trunk. You don't want to leave high-dollar items on a normal basis in your vehicle, but especially so during the holiday seasons, you're putting all your gifts in the vehicle. If you leave it unsecured or just out in plain view, they're going to be able to shop through your car, essentially.
Yeah, because that's a big thing around the holidays, especially, is vehicle theft, right? And so what, as you mentioned, you touched on it a little, what are some other ways that you can protect your vehicle, I guess, when you're out and about?
Well, yeah, like I said, parking in a well-lit area, make sure your vehicle is locked. Take extra time. We usually, during this holiday season, we're under a lot of stress with, preparing for family visiting, shopping. So sometimes we lose sight of, hey, let's lock the vehicle before we go. Make sure it's, number one, locked. Then you want to make sure that you don't leave any valuables visible to the eye. That way you deter the thieves from actually having the idea to break your window to grab what they want. But other than that, they keep that in mind. That should be a good.
And if you don't have a trunk, try to cover it with something. Or if you have a lot of items and you're not far from home, make a trip back home, drop off your big items, then continue your shopping. You don't want to leave your car running. A lot of people pull up in front of the house, leave the car running, keys in the ignition, unloading, run inside, drop some packages off, come back, and it's a crime of opportunity. Someone sees a car running, they jump in, take the car.
Especially the newer cars, they got that push-button start now. If the key's in there, then they can just take off and take the car as well.
And if for some reason they see any suspicious activity in the mall, or a car that's maybe been sitting there for a while, occupied, and it seems kind of suspicious, it's a good thing to just make a call, report it to us. Trying to get at least a make, model, color, and if they can get a license plate, that would be very helpful for us.
But so it's kind of a better safe than sorry scenario.
Yes. We always prefer someone call us and it be nothing, than call and then they're the victim of some sort of crime. When you're headed home, if you see a vehicle and they seem to be following you, don't go right home. You call the police or go to a public area and see if the vehicle keeps with you, and if so, then you just call 911.
And we talked a little bit about, being self-aware, being aware of your surroundings. What should people be looking out for in those types of situations? Like we mentioned suspicious activity, but just how often? I mean, people don't want to be paranoid, but...
Yeah, just, regular. Obviously, if they see something out of place, unattended packages, for example, that's a good thing to look for. Just people that maybe they might be following them, sort of like, they think they have the idea there might be a target because they see maybe the amount of gifts that they're buying. Yeah. That might be something that goes off in them and that might be following them. Okay. So, they should look for that. Also, when they're paying for items, make sure that they're looking over the shoulder. Make sure that nobody's right behind them, maybe trying to get their credit card number. Okay. Because nowadays that's all they need. They don't actually need the card, just the number.
They just need the number, and
they just need the number. They can make their own card or buy a gift card online. Oh wow! So all they need is the number. So that's why it's important. And if you're in a business or in a shopping area where they don't have maybe the line that's waiting a couple of feet behind from the actual person that's paying, maybe that's something that they should look at. Or bring up to the store manager or something like that for them to do.
You also want to keep in mind if you're going into a business and you see someone hanging around out in the parking lot or around the store when you arrive and then you're coming back out, that same person's there, it doesn't hurt to give us a call. Just about a suspicious person. Could be waiting for a target, just hanging around a business, because we do have an increase in larcenies at this time of year.
Like around the
People
holidays.
trying to get gifts illegally.
Yeah. So let's kind of transition, I guess. So when we purchase the gifts, now we get them home. What type of safety precautions can we take at home during the holidays? Because as you mentioned earlier, some people are under a lot of stress. They've got family coming into town. They have to cook this giant meal, and some safety precautions just aren't on their list of things to do.
Yeah, you don't want to advertise what you brought home for your family. Okay. If you have packages for TVs and high dollar items, you don't want to put it out at the curb with your trash. You want to kind of cut it up, fold it up, put it in the bin or in a bag so no one sees that, hey, they just bought a brand new TV and computer and all these fancy electronics. That's a house to break into later on. Got it. If you're going out of town, you want to have a neighbor or a friend come check on your residence for you, collect your mail, newspaper, or you can contact your newspaper or post office to stop your mail and delivery during that time. Okay. The police department also does house checks. They contact our dispatch, tell them we'll be out of town from this date to that time. This is the type of vehicles that'll be there. These are the people who might be there. Other than that, no one should be home. And then the police department will actually check their residence for them.
Oh, that's a great service.
Yeah.
Yes, and to piggyback on that, they want to make sure with the Christmas trees or gifts that they don't display them inside the residence where they're visible from the outside.
Got it.
Okay, so they want to keep it in a place where they can be seen from the outside. When they leave, it's a good practice to perhaps leave 1 or 2 lights inside on. Okay. Maybe a TV or a radio that can give the appearance that somebody's inside the residence, as well as also taking the time, make sure all your windows and doors are locked. That way we don't give thieves an easy access.
Absolutely.
And with the neighbors, it's a good thing. Also familiarize yourself with your neighbors and the vehicles, who's out of town, also to help out the community and report any suspicious activity that they might see. And just like you said, with the mail, it's good to, once the bill starts building up, that's a sign that nobody's home for a while. So
got it.
To keep in mind.
And we mentioned kind of the mail. Nowadays, a lot of people do their shopping online. Yes. There's a lot of, Cyber Thursday or whatever it's called. Right. But I guess what are some precautions to take when ordering packages online, both online safety and having the package actually delivered to your residence?
A lot of people are going to do a lot of online shopping, and one thing that they need to watch out is companies that they don't know. So if they're going to buy from a company that they're not really familiar with, it's good to maybe do a background investigation on that company. Okay. Look at its ad, look at reviews, stuff like that. But it's always good to stay with the trusted companies. Look for the padlock icon, which can be found either at the bottom of the page or on top where the HTTPS URL is at. Look for that. It's a secure site. Don't give out your information, password, something like that, unless most sites are not going to ask you for that until it's more the end. Yeah. So look out for that. And as far as the home.
Yeah, I'll cover home. When you're having packages delivered, if you know you're not going to be home during normal delivery times, you may want to have it delivered to a neighbor or a friend or a family member who you know is home during the day, so the package isn't sitting on the steps or your place of business. If you can have your packages sent there, or have it where it's required that someone sign for the item. That way, if you're not home, they try to deliver it, they'll leave a note for you.
Okay.
Last year we had a big problem with people's packages being stolen off their porches around
Just
this
right
time
up
of
off
year.
their porch.
Right.
Okay. So it's very important either, and I think nowadays a lot of companies let you, ship it to your work address so that this way here you get it at work and you can bring it home later.
Ship to the store. It's always an option with a lot of the bigger businesses.
Or you might have some, thieves will pose as couriers delivering gifts.
Really?
That's something that they need to watch out for. Or just they'll take advantage of our good faith and pose as trying to gather money, collect money for charitable organizations.
Now you hear about that all the time now.
Yeah, so that's something that maybe they need to ask some questions for some access from ID, and just investigate a little bit before they give their money to these organizations that might be false.
Okay.
Yeah, if there's someone's coming door to door in the city of Suffolk, there's different permits and things that they would require. So if you have someone soliciting you, if you ask them for a solicitor's permit, their company credentials, something like that, that's usually a telltale sign that they are or are not with one of these groups. So you want to do some research before you would actually donate to them.
All right, well that sounds great. Well, I appreciate the advice, and I guess the biggest thing probably sounds like it's just being self-aware and just making sure you're aware of your surroundings, make sure you're aware of what you're buying online, make sure you're aware, of the permit process. So if someone does come up, you know which questions to ask.
Right.
And just so you can keep yourself safe over the holiday season.
Right.
Well, I appreciate you guys joining me. Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
No problem.
And stay tuned. When we come back, we'll be visiting Suffolk Fire and Rescue to talk about holiday fire safety. Welcome back. We're here now with Captain Chuck Chapin, Acting Fire Marshal, Suffolk Fire and Rescue. Captain, thanks for joining me.
Certainly.
Now today we kind of want to go over fire safety, especially as the holidays come up and the weather changes from warm to cold and people have to turn off their AC, put their heats on. So I guess we'll start with Thanksgiving because that's coming up first.
Okay.
What kind of safety tips do you have or people to look out for?
Yeah, the big thing with Thanksgiving, as with any of the holidays, what we're looking for is obviously to have a safe holiday season. And with Thanksgiving coming up here shortly, the main things that we need to talk about is when you're cooking, you want to make sure that you have a 3-foot clear area around your stove, a kids-free zone. The other thing is make sure that you're using electrical appliances, you're plugging them in accordingly as they should be plugged in. You're not overloading a circuit.
Not multiple extension cords.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the big thing again is, don't leave children alone with lit candles, things where, kids like to...
Yeah, where things can go awry.
Exactly. And the big thing is make sure that you've got working smoke detectors. I think throughout all of this, the main thing with any of these things we're going to talk about today, whether it be Thanksgiving safety, heating, it's make sure you've got working smoke detectors, carbon monoxide alarms, so on and so forth.
How often should you check those types of?
We recommend that you check them monthly.
Okay.
And again, like we talked in the last segment with fire safety, fire prevention week, this year's theme was smoke alarms. Make sure you check them once a month. So that's kind of the key to that is making sure that you've got working smoke alarms.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess moving from Thanksgiving safety on to just basic fire safety, especially as, with heating and wood stoves and stuff like that, kind of talk about that and what people can, how they can be safe lighting those things up.
Right. The big thing with whether it be a wood stove, heating appliances, everybody's got different means of keeping themselves warm during the season. You want to make sure that you've got equipment that's been tested by an independent, a UL laboratory type equipment. Make sure if you're installing a wood stove or a pellet stove that you have a qualified professional install it. If you're utilizing an existing chimney, you want to make sure that you have the chimney inspected by a licensed inspector. And make sure that it's clean. We have had a few incidents over the past couple of weeks with the temperature changing of chimney fires where the creosote has built up and it's caused, they've started the stove and now they've got a small chimney fire. Again, that 3-foot rule, make sure that you keep everything away from, your heating appliances.
And when we say that, anything flammable, stuff like that.
Anything flammable, kids-free zone, again, that 3-foot area around there. And again, the big thing is make sure that if you're utilizing wood stove, pellet stoves, gas, furnaces, all of that, that working smoke detector and that carbon monoxide alarm is going to be key, because carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless gas, which is a product of incomplete combustion. So you have it, it could be going on, and you wouldn't know that it was going on.
Are there symptoms that you feel?
You could present with, sometimes people describe it as a ringing in their ears. They're very lethargic, just want to sleep. And then, as it progresses, you'll see the real cherry face. And at that point, usually their levels are extremely high.
Got it. So definitely make sure that you're testing those alarms at least once a month. Okay.
Some of the other things, electric heaters, you want to make sure that you keep those away from any combustibles. Again, everybody likes to put their electric heater right up next to their recliner, and they kick back, and over time that will actually, the radiant heat will actually start to break down the materials of the recliner if it's too close.
Especially if they doze off or anything like that. Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you keep that that rule
3 feet
of 3 feet from any combustibles. Make sure that when you go to sleep at night, turn off the heaters. We don't want to have people leave the heaters on and then they fall asleep, because NFPA reports that half of the home heating fires are reported during the months of December, January, and February. So we're getting into the months where you're going to see an increase in
generally caused by just kind of carelessness, I guess.
Correct. If you do utilize a fireplace or a wood stove, you want to make sure that if you take the ashes out, make sure you put them in a metal container. And when you put them in the metal container, please don't put them up right next to the house, because they still hold heat. So you want to make sure that you set the metal container a distance away from any structure, whether it be the garage, your house. Let's set it out away from anything where if it was still hot, it could possibly, start a
bit of
fire.
wind or whatever.
In the event, with storms coming, the possibility exists of power outages, or, unfortunately, some people just can't afford to keep the lights on, so they're going to go to a different means to do that. And what we've seen is, they'll utilize a generator. The problem with utilizing a generator is if they're utilizing it for heat, to keep the house electricity going, they're probably going to have it close to the house. Some people we found where they've actually had it in the house running. And again, that's just putting that carbon monoxide back into the house. So you want to make sure that if you're utilizing a generator, make sure that it's a distance from the house, the most that you can. It's well ventilated. You don't want to have it near your front door where your furnace may kick on if you were utilizing, and now it's sucking the exhaust from the generator into the house again, and that's just going to put that in there. But if you've got working carbon monoxide alarms and smoke detectors, then it should be good.
I guess some things not to do, like sometimes you hear about people, using their stove or something to heat their homes. And these are just, or leaving the electric heaters on. That's just not a smart idea.
No, not at all. And the main thing with that is, if you've got little ones around the house and you've got an oven door that's now open, and you've got the oven set to 500 degrees to warm the house, the chances of a child going up, burning themselves, or you just fall asleep and now the oven's wide open, it's going to get to the point where
absolutely
it's extremely hot
and dangerous.
So
and especially with the holidays, with Christmas coming, people like to have holiday parties, and now a big thing is kind of indoor, outdoor, doing a bonfire outside. Talk a little about regulations, I guess, with that and other additional kind of safety issues that come up.
Yeah, with the outdoor fires, as we've talked in the past, Suffolk has a burn ordinance in place where you need to get a permit from the fire marshal's office to be able to burn. And there's certain regulations that you need to meet. You've got to be 50 feet from any structures on your property, 300 feet from any structures on adjacent properties. So there's distances that come into play with that. If you're in a hub neighborhood, you know, where the houses are really close, we're not going to issue a burn permit for that.
Okay, yeah.
Obviously because of the distances. However, recreational fires, you know, something where you're just sitting out around the, you know, campfire.
Yeah.
That's acceptable, and that
Okay.
doesn't fall under the ordinance. However, you know, we still recommend that you have your water source there, that it's, you know, 15 feet from the house. So, and you're burning just strictly sticks, no household trash or construction
throwing
debris.
things in there just to
Correct.
try to get the fire going.
But that's the big thing with that, and making sure that when you're done with it,
You extinguish it
you're
properly.
extinguishing it. You know, you're not leaving it unattended.
Don't just throw water and walk away. Make
Correct.
Sure that
Make
it's
sure that
actually
it's out.
Done.
And the big thing with the holiday entertaining, if you're having, you know, a party indoors, make sure that, you know, your guests know where the exits are. I know
Okay,
we
yeah.
take it for granted
That's
that
you don't even
somebody
think about that.
comes, you know, someone comes into your house, they come through the front door. Well, we're creatures of habit, so we're going to go out the way that we came in. But
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
if that was blocked, what would be another alternative to get out? If you have any candles lit, that's a big thing.
Is
you
it
know.
that's probably one of the biggest
the big?
issues that comes up over
Correct.
the holidays because people love lighting candles.
They love to
and
light candles.
You got the reindeer hanging down. And
Exactly. And another, you know, NFPA fact is that 2 of every 5 homes decorated, decoration fires are started by candles.
Really? Oh, wow.
So, and then nearly half of the holiday decoration fires happen because decorations are placed too close to a heat source.
Yeah.
So again,
The wreaths and the garland, and then
Right.
you put the electric heater out, and things
Exactly,
just start
and it just starts.
compounding on top of one another.
And the big thing, again, you know, some people in the past, they've actually put candles on Christmas trees, lit candles.
Really?
It's some type of tradition in some places.
We're going to go ahead and frown upon that. Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. We do not recommend, you know, decorating your Christmas tree with live
Lit candles.
Lit candles.
Yeah.
Make sure that if you are utilizing any decorations, that they are, you know, approved, that you've looked at the cords, they're not frayed. If you find a nick or that they're damaged, you know,
Yeah.
let's replace them if you can.
Yeah.
And I believe that Lowe's has a drop area where you can drop old Christmas lights off.
Oh,
out
really?
there. It's
Okay.
in the front of the store. So if you've got stuff that's damaged or that you don't want and you want to dispose of it, you can take it to Lowe's and they'll.
And that raises a good point about the cords, because a lot of times people reuse their decorations year after year. They're pulling it out, and it's got these wires, you know, basically shredded, but they're still plugging it in, and that's just dangerous in and of itself.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, you know, they take in, the manufacturer recommends, you know, no more than 4 strings
Okay, attached to
of
one another.
light.
Okay.
You know, so make sure you read what the manufacturer recommends. You'll see areas and houses that, you know, people have strung 10 sets of, you know, lights, and
Yeah.
it's coming off of one circuit. Again, it goes back to making sure that you're utilizing, you know, the proper cords and that you're not overloading your circuits.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the other big thing, you know, obviously is the Christmas tree itself. Make sure that when if you're getting a natural tree, a real tree, you want to cut a couple inches off of the base of the tree prior to putting it in the stand
Okay.
to give it a fresh area to absorb that water.
Okay.
Once you get it in the stand, make sure that you're watering it every day. You know, once it starts to drop the needles, you know, then you need to be concerned with the fact that maybe it's if you purchase it at that point and it's dropping needles, look for another tree.
Okay.
Again, because as it continues, if you don't water it every day and it continues to dry out and dry out and dry out, eventually it'll get to the point where it just
Easily
won't take.
combustible or- yeah,
Exactly.
okay.
And NFPA on their website, they have a demonstration of a well-lit or a well-watered tree versus a dried-out tree, and that's something that people could go on their website and check that out.
Absolutely.
And then making sure wherever you set your tree up, make sure it's not in your path of egress. You
Okay,
know,
yeah.
It's going to block your exits, or it's a little too large for the area.
So certainly the takeaway is definitely, you know, the 3-foot rule, and making sure those fire detectors and the carbon monoxide detectors are definitely working in order, and just being smart generally about the holidays
Yeah,
in
just,
general.
you know, take that extra second to make sure that you're being safe.
Yeah.
You know, and if we do have, you know, cold winter nights, make sure you check on your neighbors.
Yeah, okay.
You know, you might have an elderly person that lives next door that, you know, it's extremely cold outside. You know, just stop over. It's the holiday season.
Yeah.
Just stop over and make sure that they're doing okay. Make sure that
Absolutely.
that things are well with them. But I truly appreciate you guys taking the time to allow us to get this message out.
No, we absolutely appreciate you.
And if anyone has any questions or they need to contact our office.
Is there a phone number people can reach you? Or?
Yep, the phone number is 514-4550, and that will get you to the ladies up front who will get a message back to the folks in the Fire Prevention Bureau.
Well, excellent. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Captain.
Certainly.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for watching this edition of Safety First.